Good. Okay, that was our third skirmish. The fourth skirmish was at Goliad. Goliad. This is all in Texas. Goliad. And this happened on March 27th, 1836. And at Goliad, the Mexican forces simply overwhelmed a force of Americans. The Americans surrendered and put down their arms, but they were put to death by the Mexican army anyway. So Santa Anna had enough of this uprising of American settlers in Mexico. So at Goliad, the Mexican army defeated these Americans, and when they laid down their arms and surrendered, the Mexican army executed them anyway. Now, do you think this last two caused a little bit of tension among the people of Texas? And that'll take us to our fifth and final battle, which was the Battle of San Jacinto. San Jacinto. Starts with a J, but it's pronounced Jacinto. Now, this was the revenge for the Alamo. Okay? So, the Battle of San Jacinto. Now, I got to set the stage on this. You know who's leading the Texans? A familiar name. Who's leading the Texans? You know, who's kind of the overall commander of the Texas militia? No? Sam Houston, the man that fought with Jackson at the Tallapoosa River, is now leading the Texas militia. Now, he's getting a lot of heat. A lot of people, his men included, thought they ought to rush to the defense of the Alamo, right, and save them from being wiped out. And he refused to do that because he wasn't going to get defeated at the Alamo. He wanted what? Independence for Texas. And he thought running to the Alamo was not going to accomplish the goal of defeating Santa Anna, and he wasn't prepared. So I get it. Now put this in perspective. Everybody wants him to run to the Alamo and save the Alamo. His philosophy is, yeah, we'll run to the Alamo and we'll get inside the Alamo, and then what will happen to us? We'll get wiped out just like they did. He wasn't prepared. He wanted to take time and prepare his militia to defeat Santa Anna, because defeating Santa Anna would mean they would get their what? Independence from Mexico. Okay? So, although a lot of people criticize Sam Houston for not running to the defense of the Alamo, he had a bigger prize in mind. So, after preparation and study, on April 21st of 1836, Texans, led by Sam Houston, attack Mexican forces at San Jacinto.
1836?
Yep, April 21st of 1836. Texans, led by Sam Houston, attack Mexican forces at San Jacinto. And when they run into battle against the Mexicans, what are they yelling? The famous battle cry? Remember the Alamo. So this is the revenge for the loss of life at the Alamo. So on April 21st, 1836, Texans, led by Sam Houston, attack Mexican forces at San Jacinto. The Americans run into battle with the Mexicans, yelling the famous battle cry, Remember the Alamo. In just 18 minutes, Houston and the Texas militia destroy Santa Anna's Mexican forces. 18 minutes. Was he prepared? You bet he was. And he wanted Texas. He felt bad about the Alamo, but he wanted Texas. And in just 18 minutes, Houston and Texas, the Texas militia destroyed Santa Anna's Mexican forces. Well, a secret treaty was signed after this battle that resulted in the following three things. What do you think was one of the things that resulted in this secret treaty? Yes, Willow?
Independence.
Santa Anna who was captured, by the way, would use his influence to make the Mexican government recognize the independence of Texas. Okay, Santa Anna would use his influence to get the Mexican government to recognize the independence of Texas. Since Santa Anna was captured, what might be another part of the deal? His release. Okay, so Santa Anna would be released by the Texans, and then he would use his influence to make Mexico recognize the independence of Texas. They also agreed that the southern boundary of Texas, see the dip, see between Texas and Mexico? They made the agreement that the Rio Grande River would be the southern border of Texas. It separated Texas from Mexico.
What river?
Rio Grande, it would be R-I-O, and then the next word is G-R-A-N-D-E. Rio Grande River would be the boundary between Texas and Mexico. So, when they release Santa Anna and he goes back, does the Mexican government accept the treaty? No, they will not accept the treaty. Which takes us to our next subtopic, which is declaring independence from Mexico. Would they have to declare their independence from Mexico if they agreed to the treaty? No. Okay, but they don't agree to it, so we have declaring independence from Mexico. Well, on March 2nd of 1836, a group of Texans assembled at a village located on the Brazos River. In 1836, a group of Texans had assembled at a small village located on the Brazos River.
What month did you say?
March. We'll just say 1836, it'll make it easier.
March 36?
March 2nd, 36. Come on.
So then why is the Battle of San Juan April 21st, 136?
Okay, why? They actually declared their independence prior to the battle. Good. See, we're listed 5 battles. We're not going in chronological order. Good, I'm glad you picked that up.
What's the river?
So on March 2nd, 1836, a group of Texans had assembled delegates at a small village located on the Brazos River. Now, what did they do during that meeting? What was the first thing they did? Declared their independence from Mexico. First thing they did during the meeting was declare their independence from Mexico. What's the second thing you might do? Give yourself a name, right? Give yourself a name because you want to be independent. What was the name they gave themselves? The Lone Star Republic. You ever seen a flag from the state of Texas? What's it got on it? A Lone Star. What do the Dallas Cowboys have on their helmets? A Lone Star. Okay?
Wait, isn't it called the Lone Star State?
It is called the Lone Star State. That's right. So at the time they referred to themselves as the Lone Star Republic. Now, if they declare their independence and they give themselves a name, what would be the next thing they would do now that they're declaring their independence? They would draft a what? Constitution. They drafted a constitution. And after you draft a constitution, what do you got to have? The leaders, and what do they call them? Presidents and vice presidents, right? So, during this meeting, they declared Texas's independence from Mexico. They referred to themselves as the Lone Star Republic. They drafted a constitution for Texas. And who did they elect president? No, they elected Lorenzo de Zavala vice president. Who? Sam Houston. Very good. So they elect Sam Houston as president of the Lone Star Republic and Lorenzo de Zavala as vice president.
So right now they're not part of the United States
No.
or Mexico?
Well, they're actually part of Mexico still. That's good because this is where we're coming. Now, this is kind of interesting. When this Lone Star Republic declared their independence from Mexico, a lot of Americans wanted to see United States enter that republic into the nation as a state. No kidding. Many Americans want to see the Lone Star Republic admitted into the Union, which is going to start a controversy. Why?
They may not want to.
No, they might want to, but why would that be so controversial? Because they don't own it. So what's going to happen for Texas to become a state? And how are they going to own that? They're going to have to go into a war with Mexico. So let's finish that up again. They have just declared their independence, just like the colonies did from Britain. They gave themselves a name, the Lone Star Republic. They gave themselves a constitution. They elected a president, a vice president, and a lot of people around the country said, hey, they're very well organized. Why don't we just admit Texas into the Union as a state? Well, that can't happen because we don't own it, right? So how are we going to own it? We're going to have to go to war with Mexico. Now, before we do go to war with Mexico, we're going to have a presidential election in the middle of this. The election of 1844. The election of 1844. Who's the president right now? Anybody know? Who is this?
The guy after.
William Henry Harrison died at his inauguration.
Oh, yes, this is vice president.
Okay. Vice President John Tyler, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So he's the president. And this guy, James K. Polk, will eventually become president as a virtue of the election of 1844, which we'll talk about tomorrow.
You have time?
Oh, not really, but you guys do a pretty good job of taking notes. I don't want to crush you every day. Although I don't mind it. Better than assignments, isn't it?
I wrote 8.5.